welcome back again. Today we're going to talk about a verse that we hear a lot, and hopefully this will be a lot shorter than some of the other ones. I feel like I owe that to you. So today we're talking Matthew 7, 1 and 2. Matthew 7, 1 and 2. And now I happen to know that you do see these right side up. The reason I see them upside down is because I have my camera when I do the little flippy thing, and so I can see myself on the screen, so I know that I'm in picture. It reverses it like a mirror. So for you, it will be right side up. But Matthew 7, 1 and 2, I'm going to close the Bible here and give us equal chance to be able to find it correctly and fast. Matthew 7. Okay. Judging others. Do not judge others so that God will not judge you. For God will judge you in the same way you judge others, and he will apply to you the same rules you apply to others. Okay, so a lot of Christians get caught off guard when a non-Christian uses this on their behalf. So a lot of Christian opponents interpret this to mean we cannot make moral distinctions between right and wrong. So like, let's say I see Fred, one of my friends, he's coming out of a bar at 1 p.m. and he's coming out with somebody intending to go maybe somewhere else with a person that's not his wife when he does in fact have a wife, right? And I shouldn't go up to Fred and say, hey, Fred, you should not do this thing, okay? It's wrong. And Fred would be like, hey, you can't judge me. I wouldn't want the Lord to judge you. You wouldn't want the Lord to judge you based on the fact that you eat meat on Fridays, would you? Okay. And then we kind of walk off with our tail between our legs. But we know that that's not what this verse is about, right? We know. And actually, it might actually be about Christians. So maybe Fred's a member of your church. I'm not entirely sure the scope of this, whether it's your brother or not. But the next verses kind of make that a little more clear. So you get to make that distinction. You can make that distinction, whether it's your brother or whether it's not your brother. So anyways, here's what I think I know. I don't think this is about law courts. This is not judgment based on a gavel and yada yada. It also probably doesn't refer to making judgment calls. Please make judgment calls in terms of it doesn't forbid all judgments. Otherwise, every instruction that we're given makes no bloody sense. So, and then also the Sermon on the Mount means nothing, and all distinctions between morals mean good actions and bad actions mean nothing. So please, don't interpret this as that. If you see somebody doing something wrong, you may feel free to correct them. I think there is a heart issue at the center of this. See, what I read said, don't judge folks in the sense that it will cause you to be overly critical of them. Do not judge folks in the sense that it will cause you to be overly critical of them. The reason for this warning seems to be that when you jump out of the simple correction zone into the, hey, I don't know if I like you anymore zone, this judgmental and overcritical nature probably is getting to the place where it is replacing and coming at the expense of love and forgiveness. Okay? And when you start putting things like judgments and morals and things in the place of love and forgiveness, and you've decided, hey, I'm going to make that call, I'm not going to leave it up to God to make that call, our hearts should just be full of love and forgiveness, right? In fact, the love part is where our distinction between morals maybe should come from. But when you choose to withhold love and forgiveness and be like, hey, this is the judgment I am pronouncing, I think you're getting into some God territory. And we're not supposed to do that on an individual level. Okay? So, there's a couple cases of this in Scripture, especially in parables, where people are judged, are forgiven debt, and then maybe they don't express that same forgiveness of debt to another person. But if your desire is to take judgment and justice to its full conclusion, then I'm afraid that extent of justice and judgment will probably be used on you. And believe me, you do not want that. Okay? And I think verses 3 through 5 help us flesh this out. Why then do you look at the speck in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the log in your own eye? How dare you say to your brother, please let me take the speck out of your eye, when you have a log in your own eye? Okay? End of verse 4. You hypocrite, first take the log out of, verse 5, you hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you'll be able to see clearly to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Okay. One note I read was, in no place does it say not to take the speck out of your brother's eye. It doesn't say that. You should help him along with that. You want to be in a place where you can appropriately help somebody along with that. But the log has to be out of your own eye. Because you can, so bottom line, okay? You're allowed to tell right from wrong. Please do. It's a good thing. Please have morals. That's awesome. But don't be so dense that when you are encountering somebody else, whether it be a brother of Christ or whether it be somebody you're just trying to minister to or witness to, don't be so dense that you forget that you have done some things wrong as well. And in many cases, since we know from the Sermon on the Mount, you're doing the same thing in many cases that they themselves are doing. Don't forget that your sin is just as convicting, just as judgment-inducing as theirs. Okay? And sometimes we do things wrong and we do it in the exact same way. But I think this changes how we can approach wrongness. We can still look at something, say it's wrong, and understand that God has higher plans for us all. So that was it this week. I hope you enjoyed. Hope it was a little shorter, and I hope that helps. In Jesus' name.